Right, hello there. I've got my mortarboard on today, so yep, it's time for another tutorial video. This was a bit impromptu. Yesterday I was playing with a tune called Speed the Plough. Many English melodeon players play that tune. It's very common in English type sessions and so on. And it's quite a simple tune in a way, which I guess is why it's popular. But sometimes with simple tunes, that opens the way to be a bit more inventive with what you do with it. And specifically, yesterday I was trying different ways of using the left hand, the basses. I did a course a couple of weeks back, and that sort of inspired me to think about some things again. So yeah, I was playing about. When I showed people what I'd done, they seemed to like it and were quite interested in what I was doing. So today I thought, okay, perhaps I could just talk through it and make a tutorial. So I haven't thought about this too much, but I guess if I go from beginning to end, that's probably a good plan. So yeah, this is experimentation. It's definitely not something I would recommend as being the best way or the only way or the right way to play this tune. It probably isn't. It's probably not great if you're wanting to do it for dancing or something, but yeah, take it for what it is. Maybe it's just as a bit of inspiration about what you can do on this end. Yeah, before I start, I guess I should say some prerequisites. If you want to follow along yourself, you'll need obviously a melodeon, a diatonic accordion. This is a DG instrument, very standard, this one, which is why I've chosen it, so it's not going to confuse anyone, I hope. As far as the right hand side goes, it doesn't matter if your instrument's got different notes up here to this one, because we're not using those, so that's fine. On this side, it doesn't matter if your B chord is a minor or a major, because we won't use that one either. Also, it doesn't matter if you're using a third stop or not. If you've got the standard chords, that's fine, that will work. Yeah, apart from that, to do this one, I would say you would need to be able to play the general version of Speed the Plough easily on the right hand without really thinking about it. You should be comfortable with playing different things at the same time with both hands in general. If you know the name of notes, then that's going to be helpful, although not essential. And another thing, when I'm playing the left hand, I use 4 fingers. Some people use that style. Some people use a style with 3 fingers. I won't be covering the specifics of that, but you should be able to adapt to that from what I'm doing pretty easily. And there's some people as well that just use 2 fingers all the time. That's much harder work, I think. You're going to be bouncing around all over the place, but just about everything will work apart from one chord. What you do with that one, I don't know. I don't even want to go there as far as 2 fingers go, because I don't do it, and it just seems hard work to me. So yeah, that's up to you to figure that out. So that's probably the introduction anyway, so I suppose we better get on with it. Right, so I'll split this into 2 parts. The tune itself, Speed the Plough, has got an A part and a B part. Both of those parts are just 8 bars long, so this isn't a long tune by any means. So in this section I'll just deal with the A part and those 8 bars. There's actually quite a lot to talk about even in that 8 bars though, so need to pay attention. I'll do it quite slowly to try and make it easy to follow, and I'll see if I can make sure that you're seeing this hand even if you're not seeing this one all the time. So the first bar, and we'll break this down pretty much note by note, and most of the notes here are quavers. In fact, they probably all are. So there's 8 quavers we're dealing with, so we'll deal with those almost one at a time just to start with. And so, what should we start? I'll start with the left hand first for a second and show you what I'm going to do with that. And I'm going to play a G bass and a G chord, which is obviously a push note, and I'm going to keep that going for 3 quavers, 3 measures, a count of 3, whatever you want to call them, 8th notes maybe, whatever, doesn't matter what you call them, there's going to be 3 of them. So I'm going to play this, both those just together for 3 notes. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And while that's going on, we're going to have the first 3 notes of the tune. And so it starts on a G, and I'm going to use my index finger for that here, so that's going to be there. This is a 3rd button start instrument, probably the most standard, but some start on the 4th or somewhere else. This is the 3rd one, so I'm going to start that, and I'm going to be playing, at the same time we're doing this, we're going to play a G on that one. And then we want an A, and maybe normally you pull that one on this, but that's no good because we're pushing this side. So we've got to play the A on the push, which is on the other row, and I suggest using your 4th finger for that because that's going to find it very easily. There. And then the next note is a B, and that's back again on the push on the inside row. And I think that this little bit of cross rowing here, that's probably the only cross rowing you'll need for this whole tutorial, so get that out of the way now. So it's going to be at the same time you're doing that long G here. So that's not too hard, is it? So that's the first 3 quavers sorted out. The next quaver, well, the next note on the right hand side is going to be a C, and that again is on the inside row, and it's only on the inside row, and so we have to pull that. And on the left hand side, well, we're going to sort of keep in the spirit of that C note and play a C bass and a C major chord as well, all at the same time. We're going to keep that fairly short. So together with the first bit. That. Okay. That's that. Right, the 5th and the 6th quavers we'll deal with together. On the right hand side, you get the notes D, both on the same button. The first one push, the second one pull. And at the same time as that, with the left hand we'll do absolutely nothing. Just play these 2 on their own. So it's going to be just that. Then the 7th quaver, because we had a rest here, we now go into overdrive on this side for the 7th one. Just first things first, so we'll play the right hand note, which is then going to be another D, that one. So there. On this side we're going to do one of these chords where you have to create from using sort of different bass and chord combinations. So the one we're going to be doing here is a very common one that you'd use for this, called B minor 7th. 7th chords are one that's got extra note in, which gives it a kind of a jazzy feel, if you like, and so they're nice to use a little bit. We're going to use it here. Also, it means that you don't have to worry about whether this B chord is a major or minor, because we don't use that. We do this as a workaround. So to get this one, we have a B bass note, which is going to be there, and a D chord, which is that one. Play them together, you get that note. You can see it's got a different feel from the major ones we've done previously. So what we're going to do is just play that one just for that quaver. So it's going to be fairly short at the same time as we do that 7th note there. So if I do the whole thing and add that one onto the end of it, so we're going to get like that. And then to finish that bar, we've got one more note, and that's a B on the right hand side, that one. And on this side, nothing. We've got to leave it at rest again, so that's easy enough. So that whole bar is it's easy enough going slowly like that. It gets a bit harder when you start taking it up to speed. But what I've done there is introduce you, if you've not figured it out already, to a very specific rhythm that is going on this left hand side. If I play that rhythm just on one note, it's going to sound sort of like this. That sort of feel. That's sped up from what we were doing just now, but it's the same thing. And the idea is that if you've got a group of 8 notes, 8 quavers in terms of what we just done, you have a note or an accent either on the first quaver, on the 4th quaver, and on the 7th quaver. So you might call this this rhythm 1-4-7. I was told that the other day. Or you might call it 3-3-2, in that you've got a group of 3 and another group of 3 and then a group of 2. But 1-4-7 perhaps tells you which quavers to play the things on. So when we were doing that first bar, we had a left hand note on the 4th one, and we actually left it playing and extended it, because you can make them short or long, and in this case we had a long first note, and then we had a shorter one on the 4th one, and we had a shorter one on the 7th one. So that's the 1, the 4 and the 7. And that's what we did. So we put that here, and it's again. And you'll find that if you listen to a lot of experienced, more sort of accomplished melodeon players, they use that rhythm a lot. You hear it a lot. It gives things a really nice rhythm. It something a bit different to just the straight oop-pah. This is something which is going to liven something up quite a lot to use it. So that's why we do it here. So now we've got that idea. We're into bar 2, all of that, and it was just 1 bar. Anyway, bar 2, we're going to use the same 1-4-7 rhythm, but in a slightly different way. We're kind of forced to do that because of the way the instrument works. What I'll do is I'll show you that all of the treble for bar 2 all in one go, and that is very easy. So we go. So where are we? Here we go. It's just those four notes repeated. So again, we've got 1 bar with 8 separate quavers in, and so all we need to be doing for this one is that we need to then match up a note on the 4th, on the 1st, the 4th and the 7th of those quavers. And this time, rather than start with a long note, we're just going to do a short one, and we're going to do a short one on the 4th one and a longer one on the 7th one, just because that's the way it seems to work out better in my mind. So what we're going to do is, for the first chord we're going to play, now get ready for this, we're going to do a different chord again. It's another one of these built up chords from different notes. It's going to be on the push because we're pushing on this side, and the name of this chord we're going to play, the technical name I think, is an E minor 7th augmented 4th. Something like that. That's a really silly name. It's too long, and it's also not very helpful in that the actual main note that you hear is a D, so calling it E minor 7 augmented 4th probably doesn't help in terms of what you're going to do with it either. So I wouldn't call it that. If you actually call it by what you're doing here, it might be easier to remember, and that is you're playing a D bass and a C chord. That's all it is. There's not actually anywhere near the E's, but there's an E in the C chord, and that's just the way music works sometimes, I think. So that one and this one together, what you get is a really nice rich chord. You're not going to hear it too much right now, because we're only going to play a short one, but we're going to do one of those on the first one and one of them on the 4th one for now. So So there we go. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that repeats again. So you. And on the 7th one, we're going to do another chord again, another one of these built up ones. And this one, well, this is an interesting one, because what we're going to play here is actually just going to be a C major chord. And we did one of those earlier like this. But here, certainly on my other instrument, not so much this one, it sounds better if instead of you play your C chord, but play your G bass with it. It's still a C chord, but it's still the same notes, but that one just gives it a different kind of inversion, a different emphasis. So we're going to use that one on the 7th one. So this whole thing together, in fact I'll just do the 2nd bar on its own. So here we are, we're going to and also that 7th one I'm going to keep it held right across to the end of the bar. So there. If I do that with the 1st bar and the 2nd bar together, then it will sound like, here we are, not that. You see, I'm putting a bit more, going a bit faster now, and you're starting to maybe get the sense of the rhythm of it coming out. There, that's 2 bars worth. So 3rd bar. Now you may be relieved that 3rd bar I'm going to stop this 1-4-7 thing and do something rather more straightforward, kind of. So in the treble, the tune does this. So we start from the beginning. So it's going to start here. The 3rd bar is, and then we'll carry on and do the 4th bar as well right now. So that's, here we are. Right, so that's the treble side for the next 2 bars. And in the left hand side, we're going to do something kind of simpler, in that we're just going to do a nice gradual chord progression across those 2 bars. So each chord is going to last for 2 whole beats, that's 4 quavers worth, and we're just going to do, so there'll be 4 that we've got to do. So the first one we're going to do is yet another one of these built up chords, and this one is another very familiar, well, a very common one, the one that's worth knowing the name of, and this is going to be A minor 7th. And A minor 7th actually uses the same 2 buttons as we just used for that E minor 7 augmented 4th thing. Anyway, that one, but we're pulling. And it's a much more straightforward chord, you can hear that. So we're going to use that one first. We're going to do that one for 2 whole beats, or 4 quavers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to follow that with the B minor 7th, the one we did earlier. So that was this one and this one again, B with a D chord. There we go. And then we're going to do a new one, another built up one. And we're only going to play this one briefly just to give an idea that it's there, because it depends on the instrument, but this one can sound clashy or sound okay, depends. I mean, this is a C minor 7th chord, and to get this one you need the C bass on the pull, because you've got the choice there, and the E minor chord. So that's that one and that one. So that's C minor 7, and we're only going to do that briefly. And yeah, if you're playing with 4 fingers, that's easy to do. If you're playing with 3 fingers, it's possible, but a kind of a weird stretch. You might want to actually think about just bringing a little finger in to help you out just for that one. And if you play with 2 fingers, yeah, I don't know what you're going to do. Maybe just play a C on its own, or or give up a habit of a lifetime and just use those two anyway. I don't know, it's up to you, but that's what we're going to do. And then finally, okay, we're going to do another version of this horrible E minor 7 augmented fifth, whatever it's called, thing. And this time we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to be on the pull because we were pushing it last time. So to make that work pulling, you just, again, it's just a D chord and a C major, a D bass and a C major chord. So you get it there. So that's what we're going to do. And together those things sound like, so A minor 7, B minor 7, C minor 7, and then the yeah, that one. And if you're observant, you'll realise that you went A, B, C, and then that last one where the bass note is a D, so it goes up in a nice scale. And we're going to do that at the same time as playing the tune. So it's going to be. You see why I'm stopping on that one, it builds up to a nice sort of target point. Did a little twiddle there as well. Don't have to do that, but yeah. Anyway, so that's, let's see, that's the first 4 bars now, so that's a long time over to explain 4 bars. 5th and 6th bars, they're the same as the first 2, so that can get them out of the way straight away, and yeah, they're the same, we've done it. So we could do those together. No. Except on this one, where before we did that chord, this time I'm going to just stay on the chord with the long name and just do that one again for the last 2 quavers, because that leads nicer into the last bit I'm going to do, which is then the 7th and 8th bar of this part. So yeah, let's do those now. So we're going to do another chord sequence here, so none of the 1, 4, 7 again, we're just going to do a nice chord sequence. And that chord sequence, well, this one's different, and it resolves back to the root note, back to the G, so it's going to make the end of this phrase sound finished when we use this one. And it's something, again, you can use a lot in different tunes, and so this one's going to start out with a C chord and C bass, and then we're going to do, like we've done before, a B minor 7 again. Then we're going to do an A minor 7 again. And then we're going to just do that quickly and then follow it up with another one of that long named chord, the pulling one, so that's the D and the C when we're pulling. And then back to finish up with the G. So if I do it with the, well, I'll play the whole thing now, you see that? So, and I'll do it slow when we get there. So now there it is, that's the C, B minor 7. And then this one, and then finish on the G. Oh. And that's it. That's the whole A part. Took a while, didn't it, for 8 bars, but well, that's what this tutorial is all about. So I'll leave that one there, and then we'll do the B part now after the cut. Okay, so time for the B part of this special version of Speed the Plough, where we're looking at basses in particular. So, yeah, the B part is 8 bars again, possibly a little bit easier than the A part, don't know, but we're going to start again with another version of this 1-4-7 rhythm that we're going to do in this left hand. The actual notes we're going to use here are easy, just a G bass and a G chord together for the first one, and then after that a single G chord on the 4th quaver and a G chord on the 7th quaver. On the right hand, the actual tune is just, well, we've got 3 G's and a D. Well, in the version I'm doing. And so what you've got to do is those two things together. So if I try to slow it down a bit without confusing myself, it's going to be so you notice that one of the notes on the left hand side doesn't correspond to what we're doing here. It sort of goes in the gap. There. And it gives that kind of funky thing going backwards and forwards. If you do it fast, like that, but don't try and go too fast at once. Make sure you're doing it right slowly and then build up to it. If that takes you days or weeks to get, it's going to take you that long. But if you try and rush it, you'll just not be getting it, and it'll just, yeah, it will elude you forever then. Okay, so that's the first bar. Stick with that on its own, because that's an important thing to be able to do. Just on its own, and it took me a while to get it when I first learnt that kind of rhythm, so yeah, don't expect that to come immediately. So, second bar, in the treble, right hand side, we get this tune. We're not going to do any 1-4-7 here. All we're going to do is just a nice little sort of bass note, rising bit. We're going to play a G at the same time, so it's going to be so G, A, B there, G on the first beat, A on the second one, B on the third one, and then nothing on the fourth. Right, that was easy. Fourth, which one? Third and fourth bars, sorry. Get confused in my old age. Yeah, for this one we're going to use another chord sequence on the bass. This is a really nice one. So I did the course the other week. Andy Cutting was doing that one, and he was showing us this. It's something you recognise in his playing, I think. And what's going on with this is we're going to play, well, we're going to play 2 bars, and for all of that 2 bars we're going to have the C chord held down all of the time. But during that time we're going to change what the bass notes are. So you could try and figure out what the chords are that are happening, or you could just think about just what the basses are doing. So in the first 2 full beats of the third bar, we're going to just be playing a C on the pull, and then for the next 2 beats we're going to say keep that C chord down and play the B note on the push. Quite a complicated sound that, isn't it? Then on the next 2 we're going to play the A bass again with this one still held down, and that's obviously pulling for an A. So, and then for the last 2 beats of the 4th bar we're going to again keep that one down and play the G chord, G bass. And that's a combinator chord that we did earlier. So we're just going to do that. So we're going to play that nice and smoothly over the course of the third and fourth bars. So if I do the whole of the B part up to there, so it's going to be. And then so again. Just that. And then we actually get to the fifth and sixth bars, and we're going to play those exactly the same as the first two of the B part. So we're just going to be this again. And then we're on to the last two bars of the piece. And now we could kind of cheat here. We could actually put in here, and I'll do that for now, the exactly the same two bars here as we played at the end of the A part, and that works well. That's going to sound very normal really. So you could do back to this again, so the so we could absolutely do that. And so what you might do is on the first time round you play that, you do this one. However, if you really want to go somewhere with the basses, the final thing to suggest is the sort of famous bass line melody thing. Forget about any of the chords and just play a bunch of bass notes. So the one that I did there is just taking a basic progression and adding a bit of twiddle to it really. So what I did was so that's a C, E, C, and a D, B, A, D pull, back to G. So you could do that instead. So let's put the whole of B with that on it. So well, almost kind of did a variation. Try again. And for some reason I've started mirroring the left notes with the right ones there, but it still fits. So that's it, that's the B part and the A part. Of course there's other things you can add, which I have been doing as well, but that's going to give you probably quite a lot to play with if you're not used to some of those techniques. So yeah, I'll play the whole thing through now after the jump. Like that. There we go. Hopefully that was of use to you or of interest. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or tick a like or something like that if you enjoyed it. The more you do that, the more likely it is I do something else at a later point. Cheers for now. Bye.